Happy holidays, guys! It's Cherise from Sher from 2000. Welcome back to another video. And in this video, I'll be sharing my thoughts on DreamWorks' Rise of the Guardians. Rise of the Guardians is a DreamWorks movie that was released on November 21st, 2012. It was directed by Peter Ramsey, and the music was by Alexandre Desplat. The voice actors in this movie includes Chris Pine as Jack Frost, this mischievous winter spirit. Alec Baldwin as Nicholas St. North, Santa Claus. He's like this badass Russian Santa Claus with like these two swords. Like, it looks so cool. This is a surprise. Hugh Jackman is the Easter Bunny. You can hear his Australian accent. He has boomerangs as weapons, and again, he's also pretty badass. Elsa Fisher as Toothiana the Tooth Fairy. She's like this hummingbird hybrid. Like, she is very colorful and she is very chipper, and she's kind of like the motherly figure of the group. Dakota Gayo is Jamie, the little boy that Jack befriends in the movie, and he's only one of the only people that believes in the Guardians when the beliefs start fading away. Sandy, the Sandman, doesn't have any voice acting. He's completely mute, which makes sense because he's the Sandman. He doesn't want to disturb anybody. And finally, Jude Law as Pitch Black, this movie's villain. He is kind of hot too, but he's the boogeyman. He wants to, create fear and have darkness and make all the Guardians powerless so he can take over. It is also noted that this movie is based off of a series of books called The Guardians of Childhood, written by William Joyce. You may recognize that name because he is the same dude that was involved in certain movies and creations of shows like Roly Poly Oly, Robots, and Blue Skies Epic. The movie had a budget of $145 million, and it only made $306.9 million in the box office. Now, for me, I thought like, hey, that's actually not that bad. But actually, they didn't make enough revenue for the movie, and it's considered a box office flop. Okay, everybody, it's time for me to share my thoughts. I wasn't really sold on Rise of the Guardians because I actually thought that this movie was basically an Avengers ripoff, which is very funny because both this movie and the very first Avengers movie of the MCU both came out in 2012. When I saw the poster, I just wasn't really into it. I just thought it was going to be one of those, animated movies that was just going to come and go like any other animated movie, unless you're the House of Mouse. So, my thoughts actually changed for the movie when I saw the trailers and the TV spots, and I was just completely sold. I thought this looks so amazing. I mean, the animation is gorgeous, especially with Sandy's dream sand that you see constantly in the movie, and even some of the designs look so wonderful. Although I will say the elves, North's little elves, they kind of do look a little uncanny. Jack Frost is probably my number one cartoon crush of all time. I mean, he's so beautiful. He kind of looks like a One Direction member. Just the design of Jack, his little shepherd's staff, his royal blue sweat jacket with the little frost tips is so wonderful. It's really nice to see Jack going through this journey of trying to figure out who he is, where did he come from. Yes, he is very mischievous. He even has some rivalries with the other Guardians, particularly the Easter Bunny, since he froze something in the spring of 1968. I think that's what they say in the movie. So those two kind of have a little intense rivalry. North is kind of like the father figure. He's very jolly, and I didn't realize that was Alec Baldwin at the time. I was like, wow, he's actually pretty good at this accent that he was doing. It's really great, and he has some funny moments, like whenever he's like, I feel it in my belly. I just find that so cute. And then whenever he talks to Jack and persuades him that you are a guardian, the man in moon chose you for a specific reason. He sees something in you. You may not be able to see it, but he sees something. The Easter Bunny, oh gosh, I love Hugh Jackman. Oh my gosh, same thing with Alec Baldwin. I didn't realize that was him because I'm so used to not hearing Hugh Jackman use his natural Australian accent, but oh my gosh, he's so amazing. Bunny is more stern. He's the more serious one of the group. Doesn't really take two things too lightly, but when we see him in his home of his Warren, and then when little Sophie, Jamie's little sister comes in, we kind of see a little bit of a soft side to Bunny. Not everyone is so serious. Everyone has something that can change them, and he gets so excited to paint all the eggs and to bring hope to the children for Easter. I can totally relate to the Tooth Fairy, because I am also pretty bubbly and pretty chipper. Like I said before, she's like the mother of the group. She has like this motherly, caring figure, and her job is the memories. That's why she collects the teeth, is for the memories. Like, in case someone forgets who they are, she shows them who they are and something like that. Xandy's like the heart of the group, because his center. All the Guardians have centers in this movie. His center is dreams. Creating these dream sands for the children. And I just think he's really sweet. And when he comes back and kicks Pitch's butt, it's just so amazing. So while I do love this movie, I gotta be honest, the kids, with the exception of Jamie, it's kind of meh to me. I mean, Jamie is kind of like the leader of his friends group, was like, hey, we gotta make sure, we gotta believe, And then, of course, I gotta talk about Pitch Black. I actually really love Pitch Black. I think I love Jude Law's performance as this character. He's very dark, he's very sinister, but he kind of has like this tragic backstory as well. If I remember correctly, Pitch used to be like this guard. He was a man. He was a guard. He would always guard this place that had all the nightmares, and he had to be separated from his family, particularly his wife and his daughter. And the nightmares basically manipulate him and trick him into thinking that his daughter was trapped inside with the nightmares. So he opens up the door, he gets engulfed by the nightmares, and he becomes pitch black. And I just love the story. Like I said, he's very manipulative, particularly with Jack. I'd like to think that Jack and Pitch, they're kind of like two sides of a coin. They both want to be believed in, but they have different motives and reasons why they want to be believed in. And it's just amazing how they connect and have this conversation with each other, especially when Jack goes to Pitch's lair, and then when he's in solitude in Antarctica, they have another conversation. And Pitch tries to convince Jack, like, hey, I feel you. I understand. I know what it's like to want to be believed in and to have a family, and we can work together. And Jack actually sees through Pitch's lies, and he knows working with Pitch is not a good idea. I was devastated that this movie did not do well in the box office. I think this also was around the time when the first Wreck-It Ralph movie came out. I don't know who came out first, but it just... Rise of the Guardians couldn't compete with it. And I also want to blame DreamWorks here. You guys need to work on your advertisements, man. Okay? Honestly, this movie should have been released around Easter instead of the holidays. I think the only reason why this was released, like, the holidays, like November, was because it had Santa Claus and Jack Frost in it, so they thought it was more of like a Christmas movie. This is more of an Easter movie. It takes place during Easter. There's literally a scene of the Guardians helping the Easter Bunny paint eggs for Easter. So this should have been released like late March, early April, around like that Easter weekend. That's just my opinion. I know this movie from the back of my hand. Like, I can do Jack's prologue. I know Jack's prologue by heart. Like, that's kind of sad, but it's just, I want more from this movie. Like, come on, DreamWorks. Please. This movie deserves so much more. Like, look at this. Look at all these books I have here. And I don't even have all of the books. There's so much material you can use from these books, DreamWorks. so much. You can go, you can create shorts or specials on the background of how the Guardians became Guardians. Besides Jack Frost, like what about North's story and Bunny and Sandy and Tooth, and you can even go into further depth of Pitch's story, backstory, whatever. This movie kind of inspired this new fandom called Rise of the Brave Tingle Dragons. Basically, it's the four main characters of each of the movies, Brave, Tangled, How to Train Your Dragon franchise, and Rise of the Guardians. The four teenagers kind of come together, and I think a lot of us kind of see these four, Merida, Hiccup, Rapunzel, Jack. I think we all see these four characters interacting with each other and becoming friends. Like, there are videos, there are countless fan fictions and Wattpads and Tumblr and whatever. People creating like art based off of these characters, and I could see them coming together. If DreamWorks and Disney weren't competing competitors, I can totally see a movie with like this huge crossover. There's also people adding in Frozen, and there are a lot of shippers here with Hijack and Jack Kunzel and the infamous Jelsa with Jack Frost and Elsa because they have the same powers. It's amazing that this fandom has become bigger. I don't hear too much of the Rise of the Brave Tingle Frozen Dragons fandom, but it's still alive. It's just not as big as it used to be, like in the early 2010s. But I really love the interactions with the four characters.